Megan Hughes, and I'm here with Mike West. When did you have your breakthrough moment where you realized that playing with the band was something that you loved doing?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I played piano when I was a little kid, and then I met my would-be first lead guitarist when I went to a high school show. And the high school show was a local rock band, and I was just like, this is amazing, you know, I want to be able to do that. And my buddy Glenn, who I just met that night, said, hey, I'm in a band, why don't you come play keyboards? And I hung around with those guys for a couple of weeks, and there was no keyboard to play. They were very expensive back then. And eventually, a bass player quit, and they said, well, can you play the bass? And I did, and I put on the bass, and I was like, this is awesome. So I was probably about 15, I guess. And just the first time we just made that, the first time I strapped it on and played with a bunch of guys, that was the breakthrough, like the very first thing.
What was your favorite gig that you played?
Our favorite gig? So in the latest band that I play with, we do a Pink Floyd tribute act. I think my favorite gig was my most recent one. We played in Easton, Maryland at a beautiful little theater, about 400 people there, and it was just great. I mean, the people really responded really well, and they were super friendly. Everybody had a really good time.
Of all the bands that you've played with, which has been the most impactful to you personally?
So probably the most recent, the Pink Floyd tribute that we're doing, has been the most impactful in terms of, I never was with a band this long.
Yeah.
We've been playing together doing this for about 10 years. But I think most impactful was we were doing an 80s kind of an act. It was called DeLorean, just before I joined this outfit. It was a couple of people from the same outfit. And we were doing 80s music, and it really had to up my level of musicianship. And in terms of impactful, I was more conscientious about learning music, learning time signatures, getting back into reading music from that band. So it had a really good, it felt like it had a really good impact on me personally.
Who are a few of your musical inspirations?
Musical inspirations? Well, I mean, it has to start with the Beatles. I mean, and the love of the Beatles was inspired by my piano teacher. And my piano teacher had me learning the classical pieces. And when this place was called Glassboro, I actually was like a 12-year-old kid coming here to the recital halls and playing on the pianos and doing all that kind of stuff. And Miss Diving was her name. And she said, you know, you're always playing the classical pieces. Why don't we throw in some of these other pieces? And we had a Beatles book. And it started there. And one day she said, hey, we're doing pretty good here. How would you like to go see a Broadway show? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? It was a show called Beatlemania.
Oh, I remember that show.
It was over for me after that. They had the costumes and the music, and from that point on, I just dedicated myself to it, and there was a bunch of us in high school that just absolutely loved the Beatles. So as far as inspiration goes, I'd have to say, you know, I got to tip my hat to John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for today. Mike, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.